This topic is titled Initial and Ongoing Formation for Consecrated Life. We live in a globalized society, a society with its positive and negative forces, in which not only are technology and economy globalized, but also insecurity and fear, crime and violence, injustices and war. In such a globalized society, there is a need for consecrated persons to have a continual conversation, to give new vigor to the prophetic dimension of their vocation, a powerful new hope. For this to happen, consecrated persons need to be reawakened by the desire for a more intense evangelical life that breaks open the horizons of dialogue and mission. This is necessary even though the consecrated life in its continuous development and experience is in itself an eloquent expression of a different form of presence in the world. Consecrated persons are called to cast out into the deep as sentinels of the dawn, who, strong in the faith, keep watch, awaiting the dawn. This is possible through the presence of the Holy Spirit, who from the very beginnings has always been present in the church, lighting her way, flooding her with graces, giving her the strength to live His word ever more intensely. This then translates into the mission of salvation and a sign of unity of all with God and with each other. This is important to understand, as every person who joins consecrated life holds some major post at some point in his or her life. The stresses and strains of institutional life can affect a consecrated person, and therefore integrated development is essential for a lifetime. Early and ongoing formation is essential for a lifetime. Some of the challenges for institutions in addressing such issues are in the formation of a stable self. Today's formees are digital natives who, although adept with the world of the internet, cannot keep pace with its speed, since everything seems transient. This is reflected in their relationships which are fragile and floating. Also, formees today come from families with dysfunction, as well as with poor religious knowledge and practice. Resistance is also seen among formees in meeting standards equal to that of the secular world. There appears to be a strong sense of entitlement in those who join to be consecrated persons, priests, and religious. Attention needs to be paid to how individuals are responding or not in an institution during formation and as priests. This implies ownership of self during early formation for a formee and during ongoing formation for those who are clerics. There are many behavioral red flags during early and later formation. Some of them are a history of mental illness, addictions, sexual confusion or troubling sexual history, inability to stop cybersex use, and a poor track record of sustained commitment in jobs or relationships. Some other recognizable issues would be isolation, lack of peer relationships, emotionally immature behavior, excessive intellectualization, controlling persons, judgmentalism, inflexibility, and the use of sexual innuendos and sexualized speech. The key to a consecrated person's relationship with his flock is reliability. If consecrated persons want to enter into foundational and wide-ranging relationships with their flock, being with them in the extraordinary realms of sin and forgiveness, grace, redemption, and hope, then they will necessarily need to locate themselves in that relationship with as much reliability as they can muster. Through celibate commitment, the consecrated person should know that he or she is for the other, and the other should be able to rely on that. Skills required are a firm self-identity, being in touch with one's emotions, good empathy skills, solid self-esteem, quality peer relationships, knowing how to live the celibate life healthily, knowing one's sexual identity and personality, and being clear on how to deal with closeness and distance in relationships. Just as those with psychological issues who draw their identity almost entirely from their work, those with personality disorders like narcissism, dependent personality, antisocial, or addictive personalities need to be identified early in the process, as they are particularly vulnerable to self-destructive and impulsive behaviors and need to be treated. If personality identity and personality disorders come from particular causes, it could mean that some of the ways by which persons deepen, change, or mature in their spirituality could be from factors outside their control. Multicultural factors could be introduced into spirituality, thus enhancing their health, mental, spiritual, physical, and psychological. A combination of spiritual maturity, affective maturity, capacity for empathy, and psychosocial maturity commensurate with age is necessary. Service to people is another criterion rather than worldly acclaim. There seems to be a lot of factors or values that define Catholic seminarians or consecrated persons. These attributes could then be developed through experiences, and fostering of those experiences could result in a greater union and desire for the divine. There is partial support that consistent religious and spiritual practices over time strengthen a person's spiritual relationship with God, resulting in greater self-esteem and less shame. The primary motivator for a consecrated person is their connection with the God of their understanding. Having this connection is important as it helps in coping in times of stress. Living a priestly and religious life requires skills different from that of a secular way of life. Commitment is one of the most important skills. This commitment is a continuous process and leads to a continuous configuration with Christ. Before the consecrated person moves to the next stage of formation, he or she is expected to complete developmental tasks of earlier stages so that he or she can respond to the challenges of transcendent values and attitudes that will be proposed to him or her at that stage, at that particular stage. Otherwise, his or her attention and efforts will be directed at dealing with his or her struggles, addictions, and defenses. Having a motivating reason for making and sustaining the priestly or religious life and the commitments to the evangelical counsels is essential. It is necessary to learn how to live that commitment well and how to navigate the challenges that it entails. Some of the skills are a developed capacity for self-reflection, personal encounters, relationships and feelings, a capacity for prayerful imagination and prayerful life review that links all activity with the abiding commitment to bring the Lord to his people. There should also be the ability to establish personal relational boundaries, at the same time allowing for genuine and generous closeness with others, and a capacity to maintain healthy balances between work and play, investment in ministry and detachment from results, self-care and care for others, a learned ability to find necessary and helpful resources, especially in challenging situations, ascetical skills of self-denial, moderation, and prudential control, for example, in eating, drinking, acquiring things, online activity, and entertainment. Besides a reason and a set of skills, someone who chooses, someone who wants to become a consecrated person needs a supportive community. It is important to note that a supportive community not only supports and affirms, but also at times raises questions and challenges. Different forms of community life contribute to the life of the consecrated person, priest, or religious. Some of these forms of life are the people of God in the church, the laity, particularly the community that the consecrated person serves. There also are other consecrated persons, besides the bishop or the major superior, who are brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers to the person. There is the unique community partnership forged in a relationship with a spiritual director and a confessor. And also there are prayer groups or support groups and the personal sphere of friends and family. Consecrated persons are formed at initial formation, and they need ongoing formation across the years of their ministry. This is the way commitment becomes real. When formation unfolds adequately, consecrated persons will have a reason for their choice in life and possess the skills to live it out well.